The number one marriage tip for women: love yourself first. You can't pour from an empty cup. Let me ask you something that no one else may have asked you lately. When was the last time you did something just for you? Not for your partner, not for your kids, not for the house or the job, but simply for the woman you are. I know, it sounds like a luxury, maybe even selfish, but let me tell you, loving yourself isn't selfish. It's the foundation for loving well. I've sat across from hundreds of women, some in my office, some through a screen, and they all shared a common ache. They were exhausted, not just tired from errands and meetings, but from the quiet burden of always giving, always showing up, always being the emotional glue. And somewhere along the way, they forgot how to show up for themselves. Here's the truth: you can't pour from an empty cup. And the number one piece of marriage advice I can offer to any woman, from any country, any background, any season of life, is this: love yourself first. Because when you do, you don't just change how you feel, you change how you love. Part 1. You are not just a wife, you are a whole person. One of the most heartbreaking moments in therapy is when a woman sits across from me and says, "I don't know who I am anymore." And she's not being dramatic. She's just lost. Not in a crisis, not in chaos, but in the slow, quiet erosion of self that happens when your entire identity becomes wrapped up in being someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's support system. And while those roles are beautiful, sacred even, they are not the full picture of who you are. You are more than what you give, more than what you do for others. Before you were someone's wife, you were you. Maybe you were the girl who loved sketching in the park. Maybe you stayed up late dancing to your favorite songs, reading poetry, or dreaming about a solo trip to Greece. Maybe you laughed louder, cried more freely, believed in possibilities without guilt. And now, you might feel guilty for taking a walk alone, or for saying no to dinner plans just because you're tired. And that guilt, that subtle shame that whispers, "You should be doing more," it's what slowly pulls you away from your essence. I once worked with a woman in her early 40s, married for 15 years, mother of 3. On paper, everything looked fine, but inside, she felt like a shell. She told me, "I don't feel alive, I function. I don't feel seen, I just serve." So we started small. I asked her to write down 5 things she used to love before marriage. She listed singing, painting, journaling, gardening, and, surprisingly, learning French. She hadn't done any of those in years. But within a few months of picking up those small joys again, her energy changed, her voice softened, her eyes lit up. Her husband noticed. He said, "You seem like you again." And that made all the difference, not just in her own soul, but in their marriage. You see, when you reconnect with the parts of yourself that make you feel alive, you don't become less of a wife, you become more fully human, more open, more joyful, and that light, that joy, becomes a gift to your relationship. Because here's the thing, the woman he fell in love with didn't disappear. You just forgot to look for her. And now, it's time to remember. Part 2. Emotional health equals relationship health. Let's talk about something we often overlook: emotional health. We all want healthy marriages, strong partnerships, and deep connection, but we forget that it begins with how we treat ourselves emotionally. When you love yourself, you're not demanding your partner to complete you. You're not asking them to fix your insecurities or soothe your self-doubt. You're bringing wholeness to the table, not emptiness, and that changes everything. I worked with a couple once, Anna and James, married for 8 years. They were fighting constantly. James said she was too sensitive. Anna said he was distant. When I spoke with Anna privately, she broke down and said, "I just feel invisible. I don't think I'm good enough. And every time he doesn't respond the way I hope, it confirms that fear." What we uncovered wasn't a failing marriage, it was a woman who had lost emotional safety within herself. She needed him to validate her because she couldn't do it for herself anymore. So we worked on rebuilding that. She started a practice I often recommend, 15 minutes a day of emotional check-in with yourself. It can be a quiet walk, a short journaling session, or just sitting alone with a cup of tea, no phone. No demands. It's a sacred pause to ask, how am I feeling right now? What do I need? As Anna began listening to her inner world, she stopped waiting for James to guess her needs. She expressed herself more clearly. And because she wasn't carrying hidden resentment, their conversations softened. They started laughing again. Loving yourself emotionally means recognizing that your feelings matter. It means giving yourself permission to be human, not perfect, not unbreakable, but whole. When your emotional cup is full, you're not loving out of desperation, you're loving from abundance. And that energy is magnetic. It invites connection, not pressure. It brings peace, not tension. It turns your marriage from a place of need into a place of true partnership. Part 3. Set boundaries, not walls. One of the most misunderstood forms of self-love is boundaries. And yet, boundaries are one of the kindest things you can offer both yourself and your marriage. They're not walls that push people away. They're doors that show others how to come in gently. Without boundaries, love becomes burnout. You say yes to everything. Even when your soul screams no. You end up exhausted, irritable, and quietly resentful. I remember working with Claire, a teacher and mother of 2. Her husband was loving, but often assumed she'd take care of everything: dinner, chores, school emails, birthday gifts. And Claire, like many women, kept saying yes, not because she wanted to, but because she didn't want to seem ungrateful. Over time, she stopped smiling. She stopped reaching for affection. Her body was in the room, but her spirit wasn't. During one session, she said, "I feel like I'm disappearing." So we talked about setting kind, honest boundaries, not blaming, not yelling, just clarity. She started by saying things like, "I need a night this week where I don't manage dinner. Can we plan that together?" Or, "I love helping the kids, but I need an hour to myself after work." At first, it felt strange, even wrong, but her husband responded with surprise and relief. He didn't realize how much she'd been carrying. The more she spoke up, the more he stepped in. Their dynamic shifted from silent expectation to shared responsibility. Boundaries don't damage love, they protect it. They remind you that your needs matter. That you're not a machine of endless giving. That your time, energy, and emotional space are sacred. And when you honor them, others learn to honor them too. So if you find yourself saying yes when you mean no, or if you feel invisible in your own home, it's time to pause. Not to shut people out, but to gently say, "This is what I need to feel human again." Part 4. Self-compassion makes you a better partner. Let's talk about how you talk to yourself. Because the way you speak to your own heart affects every part of your relationship. Many women I work with are incredibly kind to everyone but themselves. They forgive others easily, but carry shame for years. They comfort their partner's stress but criticize their own exhaustion. And this inner harshness creates an invisible wall. It makes it hard to receive love, hard to believe compliments, hard to let affection in. I remember a woman named Elise. On the outside, she was the strong one, always composed, always taking care of others. But when her husband made a mistake, forgot an anniversary, missed a detail, she would explode. Not because of the moment itself, but because deep down, she was already feeling like she wasn't lovable. Her pain came from within, not just from the relationship. So we began the slow work of self-compassion. I asked her to start a simple practice, each morning. Look in the mirror and say one kind thing to herself. It felt silly at first, forced, but after a few weeks, something shifted. She began to soften, not just toward herself, but toward her husband too. When he messed up, she didn't see it as proof of her unworthiness. She saw it as a human moment. And they could talk through it. Not fight over it. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be honest. To be gentle with your own wounds. Self-compassion helps you stop expecting your partner to fix what you've never been taught to forgive in yourself. It helps you show up not as someone needing approval, but as someone ready to love. Flaws and all. So ask yourself today, would I speak to a friend the way I speak to myself? If the answer is no, it's time to change the tone. Not just for you, but for the love that's waiting to grow when you do. Part 5. When you shine, your marriage grows. There's something powerful, almost magical, that happens when a woman comes back to life within herself. Her eyes light up again. Her energy becomes more vibrant. She laughs more, breathes deeper, and shows up with a softness that isn't forced, it's real. And when that happens, her marriage feels it. You see, we often think we need to work on the relationship, fix the communication, read the books, go on more dates. And yes, those things matter. But what if the most transformative thing you could do for your marriage is fall in love with your own life again? I remember speaking with a woman named Julia. She'd been married over 20 years. Her children were grown, her days quiet, her marriage fine, not bad, not broken, just dull. She told me, we don't really talk much anymore. We sit in the same room, but it feels like we're in different worlds. I asked her, what did you used to love doing? She paused, then whispered, I used to paint. Her voice cracked when she said it, like she'd just touched something sacred she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. So she started again, one afternoon a week, just her and the canvas. No pressure to be good, just permission to feel. After a few months, something changed, not only in her, but in her marriage. Her husband began sitting beside her while she painted. Sometimes he'd bring her tea. Sometimes they'd talk about colors. Or nothing at all. And one evening he said, watching you light up like this, it makes me remember why I fell in love with you. That's what happens when a woman shines. Her joy becomes contagious. Her peace becomes a shelter. Her presence invites closeness. A marriage doesn't need perfection. It needs aliveness. It needs two people who are willing to grow not just together, but as individuals. Because when you come home to yourself, you create space for love to come home to you. So ask yourself, what makes me feel alive? What have I buried under duty, routine, or guilt that once brought me joy? Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect time. Your light matters, and when you allow it to shine again, your marriage doesn't just survive, it begins to glow from the inside out. Closing, a quiet revolution begins with you. So here's my invitation to you, not as a therapist, not as a speaker, but as someone who's walked this road beside many women. Love yourself first. Not someday, not when things get easier, but now. Begin with something small, something gentle. Reclaim a piece of you that you've forgotten. Because you are not just someone's partner. You are a soul worth tending to. And when you begin to honor that, your marriage becomes not a place of performance, but a place of peace. Let the quiet revolution begin with you. If you found this video meaningful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. If you're facing unresolved challenges in your own marriage, we invite you to share your story in the comments below. We read every message, and we hope our words of encouragement will give you the strength to keep going. Even on the hardest days, we're here with you, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.